Welcome to the 10-Minute Treasurer. My name is Jeff Pospisil, and in this video, I'm going to talk about how a church can receive donations of grain. I think this is a really good opportunity for both the church and the farmer, and especially since many of our churches are based in ag communities, this could be a really good thing for both parties. And let's go ahead and look at it. And by the way, since this is one of those things that I kind of knew in theory, but I really didn't have a lot of practical experience. What I did is I called a couple of friends. I talked to a farmer friend of mine, that John Christopher. He's done a number of these kind of donations, so he really knew about it. And then I also talked to a handful of other people as well. I want to go over an example to show you how this works and why it's so beneficial to the church as well as to the farmer. So let's just say, for example, that we have a farmer that wants to dedicate 40 acres to the church so that whatever crop grows on there, that is donated towards the church. And let's say they're growing wheat. I'm from Montana. We grow a lot of wheat, so that's what they're growing. And so that they have input costs of about $3,000 connected to that 40 acres. And then the value of that crop is $12,000 that they produce. So now if they're going to write a check, that means they're going to sell the wheat and experience the taxable gain. So they're going to have taxable income of $9,000, 12 minus 3, and they're going to have to pay taxes on that in the neighborhood of $2,700. So because they're going to have self-employment taxes as well as income tax. And so if they're going to take that $12,000 and subtract off the taxes of 2,700, that's going to leave them $9,300 to give to the church. Still a really good gift, but it's also going to cost the farmer $5,700 in order to produce that gift, because they're going to have the input costs plus the related taxes. So that's 5,700. Now, if instead they don't sell the crop, but instead they donate the wheat to the church and the church sells the crop, here's what it looks like. They're going to have a $3,000 loss on that 40 acres. So because they had only input costs but no income from it. And so that's going to actually, instead of increasing their tax bill by 2,700, it's going to reduce their total tax bill by $900. The church is going to get the full benefit. So instead of 9,300, they're going to get $12,000. So that's a very significant difference. And the cost of the farmer, yes, they're going to have their input costs, but then they're going to see a negative effect on their taxes. So it's going to cost them $2,100. So they are able to give more by how they give. And again, mostly it's because you're cutting the IRS out of a lot of this, so that way the IRS is not um, one of the charities you're supporting so much. So here is what the most typical scenario is. The farmer is going to go to the elevator with a load of grain. When they stop off to get weighed, what they're going to do is they're going to tell them this load is for the church, or maybe they're going to say how many bushels of this load is for the church, but they're going to tell them right away that you put this in the church's name. And then what's going to happen is you're going to go ahead and unload it, and you're going to go ahead and come back. And you're going to want to request a copy of the ticket or the receipt. So even though this is in the church's name, you're still going to want a copy of it. So it'll have the church's name or the charity's name here. And the reason you're going to want to do it, and most farmers already know this, is that you're going to still need to prove production on that piece of land. So when it comes to insurance purposes or crop programs, you're still going to want to prove production. And that'd be one way to how to do it, is to keep a copy of that receipt. And the church is going to get some kind of a statement or notice from the elevator to let them know that you've received some grain. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to turn around and write a thank you note. This is not going to count as a charitable contribution for tax purposes, so you really don't have to worry about the IRS language, because this is really for the farmer. Their benefit is not in the charitable contribution side; it's in lowering their income. But you're still going to want to write a thank you, and I would go ahead and you should say exactly what you received. So I would just say I received 500 bushels of hard red winter wheat, and here's the date we received it and the location. And I wouldn't even hesitate from including how much you actually profited from that. So that might be an encouraging thing. But also, I would include a copy of that notice or that statement from the elevator, just again, so that the farmer has even more proof that yes, this money, this was actually donated, and these bushels, these 500 bushels should count towards the production of that field. So that's why I would include that in there, that copy. There are a couple other variations of this besides just bringing in a load of grain and putting it in the church's name. And I just want to lift those up. Some of these ones I've seen in action, and other ones I've just talked about with some farmer friends. So the first variation is going to be if you decide instead of just dedicating a load of grain or a certain number of bushels to say, I'm going to actually dedicate a piece of my land and whatever it produces, I'm going to give that to the Lord. So this happens to actually be the farm where I grew up in near Moore, Montana. So this is our where we grew up. That's a farm. And then so we have a field here and some pasture here. And then these fields here are ours. And let's just say, for example, that my dad said, okay, that 40 or 50 acres right there, that is what I want to, whatever grows there, that is the Lord's. So if it gets hailed out, that's the Lord's grain that got hailed out. If it does a beautiful double harvest type of deal, that is the Lord's. And to just leave it there and just say, this is what I feel like the Lord is leading me to, and this is what I'm going to give to, and whatever it is, it is. So I kind of like that idea. Puts the pressure on the Lord to some degree, and you just have to stick with your decision. And a slight variation on this would be, what if you had a dedicated piece of land? So either it was gifted to the church or a farmer has dedicated it to the church. And instead of just renting it out and getting income that way, maybe it's a partnership model. So the Loyola United Methodist Men, they used to do this, and I think they still do this mostly. So they would have, one farmer, maybe they are responsible for this planting, and maybe somebody donates the seed and somebody else donates the chemical, and then somebody else uses their own equipment then to harvest it. And so they do all this, and that way it's not just falling on just one farmer to do it, but maybe it's a whole group effort, and also would draw those families together. So I did think this was an interesting thing. The Loyola United Methodist Men have been doing this for decades. So I think it's been a fairly positive thing for them. All right. Hopefully that has helped you get your head around this subject. And I do hope that this will help increase the number of grain donations. I just think that's a great way for a farmer that's connected to the church to make a really big financial impact for them in a smart way. All right. God bless you.